Hey, Disney Cruisers, and welcome back to the DCL community, where we are so excited to help you plan, prepare for, and get so excited for your Disney cruise. You guys know me. I am Rebecca. I am your host and admin of the DCL community. And today we're excited to be talking about Concierge, which is it worth it? How do you maximize the benefits? And we're talking with the experts of Concierge, the team over at My Path Unwinding. Karen, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself as people are coming on in?
Thank you, Rebecca. Hi, everyone. My name is Karen Shelton. I am the owner of My Path Unwinding Travel. We are an authorized Disney vacation planner. We are experts in Disney Cruise Line Concierge. I have sailed in Concierge on all 5 ships, slated to go in Concierge on the Treasure. Our team has been in virtually every category of concierge across the fleet, including the Royal Suites. And I had that opportunity even to be in the Tower Suite on the Wish. So we work extensively with concierge cruisers, talk to the concierge team over at Disney virtually every day. And I'm so excited to be updating this live with you to talk about all the benefits
Yeah.
concierge cruising.
Yes, and there are so many. And if you guys enjoy this, please let us know. We're planning to do a live in the coming months to talk about Disney Concierge versus some other cruise lines. So stay tuned for that. If you guys have any questions, go ahead, put those in the comments. We're going to do our best to get to those as we're going through. But if you have any questions for Karen as we're going through this, just put those in the comments and know that you can always reach out to her. That's the link to her page on the DCL community site. Her services are 100% free for you to use. So utilize her as that resource, as that expert in concierge travel. But what do you say? Let's dive in.
Awesome. Let's go for it. So, we will talk about Disney Cruise Line Concierge and especially the benefits of why you should consider booking a concierge stateroom or suite on Disney Cruise Line. So, the one of the most important benefits when you select a concierge stateroom or suite is the pre-arrival planning. Disney Cruise Line has a team that's called Shoreside Concierge that works with concierge cruisers and their travel agents ahead of your departure to plan all the details of your cruise. So, depending on your status with Disney Cruise Line, what your Castaway Club level is, you can begin booking at either 123 days, 120 days, 90 days, 75 days, depending on if you're silver, gold, platinum, and now pearl. If you're a new cruiser, it might not be, you might not be able to start planning till 75 days. And all of those other repeat cruisers get to plan ahead of you. But one of the biggest advantages and benefits of sailing in concierge is the ability to pre-plan ahead of everybody else, even pearl cruisers. So at 130 days, concierge cruisers can submit requests to the concierge team. Those requests are processed in the order received starting at midnight, and they can request all kinds of special activities, port adventures, character greets, and spa, to name a few, on board. This is a service that we, as a team, My Path Unwinding Travel, provides for our clients. We will communicate with you to plan what your requests are going to be, and we submit them right at 130 days. So hopefully you're right at the top of the list for getting those things processed.
Yeah.
And Rebecca, we talked about this. I think it's been over a year since we did our last talk about concierge. And I feel like I wanted to kind of dive into some of the things that you can request and some of the things that we might not have covered last time.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And I was going to say, For those who don't want to wait up till midnight, this is a great additional benefit that Karen and her team can provide so that, we're working, busy parents. You don't necessarily have time to stay up until the clock strikes midnight. So that's a great additional perk that you get so that you can kind of plan ahead, talk to Karen and her team about all those available things that are that you can book. And then they can go ahead and get that reservation in for you before anybody else is in line.
Absolutely. So let's talk about port adventures. And, port adventures is one of the things that can be requested from the concierge team. And you and your travel agent can speak to the concierge team even ahead of this 130-day window. Usually about a week or so before, we can get more information about exactly which port adventures are being offered, because although they might be on the website, they might not all be available. Maybe you have a question, or maybe you want to request one of the private port adventures that Disney Cruise Line is offering now. So we can get some more information about those. We can get a schedule of all the beverage seminars that are going to be offered, like that, red wine tasting, the champagne tasting, mixology, the mojitos, all of those. We can see exactly what is being offered on your cruise ahead of time so that you can kind of plan what your requests are going to be. So this is, again, a service that we provide. We talk to the concierge team all the time, and they get us that information so that we can help our clients plan. One of the most coveted things to request for concierge ahead of time is a cabana on Castaway Cay. And we have some clients that book concierge for the sole purpose of getting a cabana.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a really exciting benefit. It is not a guarantee, especially on the Disney Wish when there are so many more concierge cabins than cabanas. But hopefully Disney might add some new cabanas at some point. But you still definitely have a much better chance of getting a cabana when you're concierge than when you're not. In fact, almost always now, all the cabanas go to concierge guests. And if you're not concierge, you're very unlikely to get a cabana unless you have a friend sailing at concierge.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's a great way to do it too, even if you are sailing concierge. If you are sailing with other families, or if you're in your cruise group and you want to get a couple people together, you guys can always split a cabana. I didn't realize people did this until recently, because they're always sold out by the time, and I'm a platinum cruiser, they're always well sold out. All the concierge guests seem to get them. So there's ways to tack on to some of those concierge friends.
Absolutely. Make some friends, and hopefully you might be able to share one. And sadly, I think even the Pearl Castaway Club level, that's the newest level for those with the most cruises, even they still really can't often get a cabana unless they're also in concierge. But the good news is, even if you've never sailed with Disney Cruise Line, I just want to make this clear, even if you've never sailed with Disney Cruise Line, concierge guests get the jump ahead of everybody else. And one thing that is kind of new since we last talked is that concierge cruisers can now request the Royal Gathering, which used to be called like the Princess Gathering a while back. But that Royal Gathering, where all the princes and princesses gather in the atrium, that event can be requested by for concierge at also 130 days. It used to be that is was requested at like 35 days, because that is something that everybody else can only request when they do their online check-in, which is at 30 days for most cruisers. So concierge really gets a full advanced jumpstart. And if you are on a Marvel Day at Sea or a Pixar Day at Sea, concierge guests also get a jump start on scheduling those special character greets, and can schedule all of them ahead of time so that they can, make sure to have the most fun on those specialty cruises.
Yeah, I was going to say, and these are things that you talk with your travel agent about so they can go in and request everything ahead of time. If your kids really love Pixar and they want to meet the Incredibles, that's the time to do it. It's awesome.
Exactly. So same for the Royal Tea that is on most of the ships, and Olaf's Picnic that is on the Disney Wish. Again, that is something that can be requested in advance. That often sells out. Spa appointments can be requested in advance. So there are so many things that are really time sensitive that when you are concierge, you get to have that that priority for booking.
And what about dining times? We get a lot of questions about, I have little ones, they can't stay up that late to eat. So does concierge have priority with dining times as well?
Absolutely. Even if your confirmed reservation with Disney Cruise Line, when you book it, says main dining and that or second dining and main
Mhm.
dining is sold out, which is often the case. All we have to do at 130 days is tell the concierge team what your preference for dining is, and it's will be magically updated. Concierge will get their preference for dining, regardless of if it shows waitlisted or sold out for main. So that is another benefit,
Yeah.
and that a lot of parents appreciate.
And question for you, and this might be a loaded question. You guys have to forgive me. I've never sailed concierge, so I'm learning just like you are right now. Do concierge guests ever get told no on these requests?
It has been a very, very rare on anything that I have just described. Nobody is told no unless it's truly sold out. So, as I said,
Mm,
not everybody can get a cabana on
mm,
the Disney Wish. There's just not enough. So, sometimes they are told no. However, insider tip, not all of the cabanas are sold or released right away. They do hold back a couple for the weddings team specifically. And if the weddings group does not use them, then they do get released a little closer into sailing, and they will get released to the concierge waiting list first.
ooh,
So all hope is not lost. Even if you're a concierge cruiser and you want a cabana and they told you, oh, sorry, we weren't able to accommodate that request, sometimes availability does pop up. I've had folks even decide, well, we don't really need a cabana, or maybe it's two families traveling together and they both were like, oh, we want to make sure we get one. And they both requested it. And then they realize, hey, they can go ahead and cancel one.
mm,
So there's always hope.
yeah.
Um, the concierge team really tries hard not to say no, but for all of these types of things that Disney Cruise Line already offers, it is a really good chance it's going to be a yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I was gonna say they know that it's an investment when you're sailing concierge, so they really want to make it worth it, and treat you as special as can be.
Exactly. Exactly. So, as I said, those are the priority for booking ahead. The other thing we didn't mention that you can request is adult dining. So,
Mhm.
whether it's going to be a brunch or a dinner at Palo or Remy or Enchanté, depending on the ship, you will have priority to request those reservations. And also like the specialty events that, let's say, Remy offers, like the Remy dessert experience. So there are so many little things that concierge guests can experience ahead of everyone else. And I like to say, even if none of these things are available, everybody sailing on a Disney cruise can have an amazing time. But
Yeah.
when you're ready to plus it up, this is the way to go.
Yes. And just answering these two questions quick. So, how do you know if you have a Marvel day at sea that we were talking about earlier? So, that's something you'll know ahead of time. Your sailing will have a Marvel day at sea kind of logo right on the booking.
Yeah, it
Um,
usually says that it's going to be a Marvel day or a Pixar day at sea. But for example, I expect that some of these sailings that are just announced for early 2025 will be Pixar or Marvel. They often do that, but they might not be notated that yet.
yeah.
So we can kind of make an estimate or a guess, just the same as like Halloween on the high seas or a maritime cruise over the festive season. Sometimes they're not noted yet because they don't announce the specific dates early and they get added later. So that's just something to keep an eye out. But by the time that you're ready to make these requests, you will know if it's going to be one of those themed sailings.
And I was just going to say, if you are thinking about cruising in early 2025, reach out to Karen and her team now to get booked, because typically when those themes get announced, the price goes up. So you can get locked in now at hopefully a lower price. And of course, prices are always best for the release day. So reach out now, get booked now, so that it's a special surprise and bonus when those themes do get announced.
Absolutely. Completely agree. And I see that there was a question about dining rotations and table preferences. Yes, we can get those dining rotations for you and let you know what the available options are for that day, what night is going to be pirate night, can you start um, in animators versus royal table, whatever the rotations are for that ship. And then we can make that request for you for those specific dining rotations. And also for the locations, like I would like a table close to the stage or far from the stage. Concierge guests are always given private tables automatically. So that doesn't have to be a special request. We always kind of reconfirm it, but it is an automatic request unless you prefer to sit with others. And then we would make that request. So we are going to talk about so much more that's included.
Yeah.
I just want to say, when we talk about cabanas, I want to be clear, there still is a charge for the cabanas. You do have to pay for them. The nice thing about Disney that is true for all guests, regardless of if you're in concierge or not, is that whatever you book online in your cruise account for port adventures and for dining, you are not charged for those things until actually you board. So you will be charged for them eventually, but you don't have to prepay, unlike some other cruise lines that require that.
Yeah. And just so everyone knows, cabanas, the buffet is not the same as the cabanas that we were talking about on Castaway, or what I'm sure would be on Lighthouse. We get a lot of confusion on that one. You do not need a reservation. You do not need to pay to go to cabanas, the buffet on board many of the ships. Cabanas are I know we have so much to talk about, but what are some quick things that are included in the cabana that make it worth it?
Inside the cabana, so first of all, just having that private, quiet beach area. The cabana includes soft drinks and water in a fridge and cool towels and fruit and snacks. It has shade. It has a fan. It has a shower. It has sitting areas. It has a hammock. It has outside beach chairs. It has sand toys and floats. And they even include a bike rental. They have sunscreen for you. So it is a really, really nice special experience. And you have, priority bartending service as well. So a lot of people really, really love having a cabana just for that, all that little extra touch.
I love it. Now let's dive into the priority boarding. This is a hot topic with all the port arrival times.
Yes. So when you are a normal cruiser, you have to check in 30 days in advance, and you are assigned a port arrival time, and your boarding group is going to be determined by that. Concierge can arrive at the port anytime as soon as the port opens, and in Port Canaveral and hopefully in Fort Lauderdale, in the new port that is being built, there is a private concierge waiting area. I think all of the terminals might have a separate waiting area for concierge, but it's really a little, more designated in Port Canaveral right now, where you actually go into a separate room. And once you're there, you can be the first to board the ship right after the family of the day. So a lot of our concierge guests like to get there as early as possible. They don't mind waiting in the concierge area a little bit, and so that they can get right on the ship.
Yeah. And this is so important. You know, you might be wondering, okay, but can I just do that anyway? So typically with the check-in process, people might be rushing to do it right at midnight at 30 days or however long ahead of time, depending on your status, or doing it first thing that next morning to get that earlier boarding group. You can board the
Exactly.
ship whenever, but this just ensures that you can do it at your leisure when you are ready to that next day or day after. You don't have to wait up until midnight.
Right. You don't you have to check in. You have to
Yeah.
do those, upload your documents. That still has to be done, but it doesn't have to be exactly at the dot on 30 days because you're not going to get a port arrival time. You will actually not be assigned one because you don't need one. So
Mhm.
you can decide, like I said, I have some clients that like to come super early and be the first on. Others just don't even want to have to wait in the concierge like waiting area. They just want to be able to, check in and get on the ship. And one of the other benefits when you board in concierge is that there is a concierge welcome lunch on each ship,
Ooh,
and they'll pour you champagne or wine. Often will get you a cocktail. So that is a little bit of an elevated experience. You don't have to do it, but many guests do like to do it. And, that again elevates your experience a bit.
love it.
So I see that there's a question about happy hour and the concierge areas, and that is just in time to talk about the concierge lounge on board. Every ship has a concierge lounge. The amenities and the size of the lounge vary from ship to ship. But within the concierge lounge, which is controlled by your key, only concierge guests can get in. Inside are the amazing concierge hosts that we'll talk about later. And there is a variety of amenities. So here's some pictures of the fabulous concierge lounge on the Disney Wish. And I think the bottom picture is the Disney Fantasy. The lounges have happy hour or cocktail hour every night between 5 and 10 p.m. So you can go there before dinner, after dinner, before dinner again
Yeah.
to go have a cocktail, a glass of wine, um, all kind of, it's really a full bar. And so you can get to know the bartenders and they'll have your favorite drink waiting. All day long in the concierge lounge is a variety of food. So in the mornings, there'll be some breakfast items, there's snacks, there's tea time, there's hors d'oeuvres in the evenings. You can always hop in there as well for something to eat, as though there's not enough food on a Disney cruise.
Right. You will never be hungry. And I know we're talking a lot about some of the adult beverages, but kids are allowed in these lounges too, right?
Great question. Absolutely. Kids are allowed. They're welcomed. In fact, there's usually a TV playing Disney cartoons. There's games. There's kid-friendly snacks, kid-friendly beverages. There's milks and juices and waters and soft drinks that are available all day long. And in fact, your in-room refrigerator will be stocked with those things. And that is another thing you can request ahead of time from the concierge team. They won't stock with alcohol. Unless you're in one of the royal suites, you might have a bottle of champagne waiting for you. But they will stock your fridge with all kinds of non-alcoholic beverages, and that is also another great feature.
Awesome.
So these are just some more views of the different lounge areas here. I believe that is the Disney Wonder.
And
One of the great features also that everybody loves in the concierge lounge across the fleet are the coffee machines. And these make, as you see, they have the fresh ground beans up there. And these make everything from an espresso to a cappuccino to hot chocolates. So you don't have to go to Cove Cafe to get your coffee fix. These are available from the time, the whole time the lounge is open, from early in the morning till the evening. And it's really, really good coffee. And they have a range of flavorings and all kinds of things that you can enjoy.
awesome. And how do the lounges compare ship to ship? As one, I know we always get the question of, well, the Wish is the newest, so she must be the best, but that's not necessarily true, right?
It really depends on what features you're looking for. And, some people might choose to pick their ship and their cruise based on the concierge experience alone. And some might choose, to base it on the itinerary. Every concierge lounge has some kind of benefit. So the Wonder and the Magic do not have a water feature like a hot tub, but they have beautiful indoor and outdoor spaces. As you can see, the concierge also has sun decks, and they also just have the ability to really get to know the guests. So I have a lot of clients that just love sailing on the Magic or the Wonder because they feel like the concierge team can really, really get to know them. On the Fantasy and the Dream, the concierge decks, sun decks have private hot tubs. And again, this is not just adult only, these are for kids or adults. And let's see if I have a picture of the Wish sun deck. The Disney Wish sun deck is 2 stories, just which is unique in the fleet.
Yeah.
The one floor has just lots of seating areas. The second floor that you see here has 2 hot tubs, and they call it a pool. I wouldn't call it a pool necessarily. It's more like a little splash thing. It has that long bench. Water comes down the side to cool you off. You can sit in it. The views are amazing because it's on the very front of the ship. And behind that area is a bar. So the concierge areas on the Wish have a bar inside and outside. During the day, there is a charge for the bar. But in the evening, again, that goes to kind of the happy hour time. So it is wonderful. It is hard to beat, but there's more people. So I don't know that it would feel crowded, but you might not feel that you get to know the concierge team as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's something I'm excited to learn more about is the concierge team.
Well, you might be reading my mind.
Oh, look at that. That wasn't even planned.
Not even planned. So the concierge team really, in any kind of Disney experience, it's the people that are the special secret sauce. And the concierge team are that amazing group that make the concierge experience better. For cruisers, everybody, all the crew on a Disney cruise are friendly and helpful, and you have your guest services team if you need anything. But when you're in concierge, their goal is to be your guest services team so that you never have to go down to the main guest services line and stand in line for anything. So if you have a question about your account, or you need change, or you need to change a dining reservation, or just have any kinds of questions, these folks are here to make sure that you're comfortable and taken care of. So if you are in a 1-bedroom suite or higher, you can talk to them about having room service from the main dining room delivered. If you are in the royal suites, you can talk to them about having Palo served in your suite, which is an exclusive option for the royal suites. So they are there to really elevate your experience, and you can get to know them because they're just really lovely people that have great Disney credentials.
I love it.
Most of the ships have a team of concierge of 3 managers. And then there's also the bartenders and the folks that help with the food in the concierge lounge. On the Wish, I believe they now have a concierge team of 5 because there's that many more concierge staterooms and suites.
Oh, wow.
And, have some quick slides here to talk about the different staterooms and suites. There are regular concierge veranda rooms. There are 1-bedroom suites. On some ships, there's 2-bedroom suites, and then the royal suites. So the types of benefits that you get will vary based on the type of stateroom. Everything that we've talked about for the most part is equal across the board for regardless of whatever concierge category you have booked. There is some Wi-Fi inclusions for concierge, and the higher level suite you book, the more Wi-Fi you get. So the royal suites get unlimited.
Good to know.
We talked that a minute ago that 1-bedroom suites and higher can get room serviced from the main dining room, which is a really nice perk. So you can get, breakfast, lunch, and dinner from the main dining room delivered to your suite. If you're in the royal suite, again, you can have Palo served in your suite, which is nice because maybe you want your kids to experience Palo, but they're not old enough. So if you want to splurge on the royal suite, you can do that. On the Dream, Fantasy, and Wish, and moving forward on the Treasure, the royal suites have a hot tub on the balcony as well.
Ooh.
So, I mean, these are some gorgeous, gorgeous rooms.
And are there any inside or ocean view concierge rooms?
There are no inside concierge rooms. It is not something that you can add to a room. Sometimes I get that question, can I book this room and add like concierge lounge access or concierge service to it? You cannot. It has to be the specific category that's designated as concierge at the time of your reservation. And but on the Wish and the Treasure, there is a unique category that is ocean view without a veranda. These are on deck 11 on the very front of the ship, and they have become quite popular to where they're actually charging a tad more in most cases than the concierge with veranda.
Oh.
So basically what they've done is they've taken that veranda space and it's now inside the room, and you have floor to ceiling windows. So I have a lot of clients that love that room that's right in the center on deck 11. You have just this beautiful front of the ship view. And then also on the wings on either side, on the port and starboard side of the ship, those rooms, again, no veranda, but a little extra space and some beautiful, almost like corner window views. So if you want to try something different and are willing to not have a veranda, just on the Wish and on the Treasure, we have that unique type of concierge category.
I was going to say, this is reason number like 4,087 why working with a travel agent is so awesome, because you know these things. You've sailed and your team has sailed in these rooms. So you have that inside scoop.
I thank you for saying that. I mean, I really am proud of the expertise and knowledge that our team has, because we do live and breathe Disney Cruise Line, and especially concierge. We know all the locations and the rooms and which are the popular ones, and which ones we want to grab for our clients first thing, like for this week with the new sailings.
Yes.
So I want to talk about some other perks that we haven't discussed yet. So actually we did mention getting Palo in your suite. That's my family having Palo in the Wish Tower suite. Last year, that was really, really exciting. I actually sacrificed having dinner in Arendelle to experience Palo in our suite, because I've never been able to do that before. And that was just such an amazing experience. And I show a picture of one of the stage productions, because concierge guests now have early access to the theater for the main stage shows. So whether or not you are in main or second dining, the concierge team will give you a meeting spot and time and allow you into the theater ahead of everybody else so that you can pick your prime seats. So often you can go up to the lounge, grab a beverage to take to the theater with you. They often will have popcorn waiting for you that's included. And a lot of people just really like the popcorn, and then you can have a prime spot to see these stage shows. So that is another benefit. Another thing we haven't talked about is if there is a tender port like Grand Cayman where you have to tender into the port, you will have priority tendering to get off the ship. So not only do you have priority to get on the ship, you have priority to get off the ship. So there's just so many little little pieces of pixie dust, that they
Yes.
sprinkle in to make the concierge experience special.
I was gonna say, and the characters on this one reminded me, sometimes concierge gets special visits from characters in the lounge, right?
That is exactly right. And those are finally being brought back. They were not available during COVID times for a while, but you will often get an exclusive invitation from the concierge team to come to the lounge at a certain time, and a special guest will be there. And usually they might have the bartender kind of going again, even though it might be before
Ooh.
the happy hour time, and they will have an opportunity to meet one of the characters and have a photo op then. So besides having priority for that, the princess gathering, the royal gathering that I talked about, and the character greets if you're on a Pixar or Marvel Day at Sea cruise, now we have some special, they're bringing back that special character greet to the concierge lounge.
So
And then depending on your cruise, I saw a question about Alaska. There might be some special perks. Depending on what category you're in, there might be some special invitations and perks that you might receive on a cruise. It doesn't always happen, so I don't want to guarantee it, but they do try to sprinkle pixie dust when they can.
oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
I want to just also take a minute to acknowledge the concerns about concierge. Besides the cost, obviously concierge can be pricey compared to a regular cruise. And, there are a lot of inclusions. If you, add up the value of, getting free drinks or whatever, it's really a subjective decision about if the value is there or not. But we should acknowledge that it is a pricier, sometimes significantly pricey option. Many of our clients, once they sail concierge, will never sail any other way again. Some honestly don't find the value in it. And some say they find the value, but they'll do it for only certain cruises. That's kind of where I land. I love concierge for certain cruises, but it's not like I won't have a great time on a Disney cruise if I'm not in concierge. I'll still go on, still put me on the ship.
Yes.
I can have a great time. Will I stare longingly at those closed doors at the concierge lounge? Yes. I will miss it, but I can still have a great time.
Yeah.
So I just want to touch real quick on a couple of things. Deposits for concierge are 20%. Placeholder discounts do not apply. And the deposits are non-refundable. So other deposits for any other category on Disney Cruise Line are refundable up to final payment, unless you booked a restricted special rate. But whenever you book a concierge stateroom, as soon as you make that deposit, it is non-refundable immediately. However, we can make a change, and I hear a lot of misinformation about this. This is another reason to use a concierge specialist, is we can make a change on your sailing as long as it's before final payment date. We can bump it out to a different cruise, and it does not have to be in concierge anymore, but that deposit always stays non-refundable.
Good to know.
And another thing to know that is really kind of tricky is that if you're sailing in concierge and plan to get the Disney Cruise Line vacation protection, it needs now to be purchased at the time of your deposit. And the system doesn't really show that to you. But if you don't select it, you're not going to have a chance to add it later. If you're not in concierge, you can add Disney Cruise Line's plan anytime. But if you're in concierge, it has to be added at the time of your deposit. But of course, we like to offer other options for travel insurance because it can often save you a lot of money.
I was going to say, because you're the one who told me Disney's travel insurance is that set percentage, right, of the cruisers?
Yes. Disney's vacation protection is 8% of the cruise fare before tax. And it is flat. So it is the same regardless of your age, where you live, all of that. Now, most of the insurance that we use is determined by age, and kids are free. So it can really make a big difference in the cost for your vacation protection. And we can talk about that, with our clients in terms of the different plans and the cost and the benefit of that.
Yes. And then one clarifying question, so you can change the cruise and you won't lose that deposit, right? As long as it's
As
before.
long as you do that before your final payment date, yes, you can, the deposit will move your reservation. You'll keep the same reservation number, and that deposit is kind of tagged forever as non-refundable. But you can decide, wait a minute, this guy just fell in and I have to, I still want to sail, but I can't splurge on concierge anymore. I want to go on an inside stateroom. That's okay. But the deposit is non-refundable, and it's non-refundable for every guest. So if you drop off the amount, one guest, their deposit amount is non-refundable. We can do some name changes sometimes, but if you cancel, it's likely that you're going to lose some money. So that's why we try not to get our clients to cancel. We just help them find something that they can bump it out to, and you can just keep bumping it on out.
Awesome.
I just want to put in a plug. We have a Facebook group specifically for concierge cruisers, and it is really fun. And most importantly, it's a no judgment zone. I know sometimes out there on social media, folks that are planning concierge kind of, feel a little uncomfortable about their decisions. And in the concierge group, we have a be kind or be quiet, no judgment zone. Whether you're just there to lurk and dreaming about someday, or whether you're like, you know what, I always sail in the Royal Suite. Everybody is welcome, and we don't judge your decisions.
Yeah, I was going to say that's so important, and just having people to talk through. And that's another great reason that I would say reach out to Karen and her team and to have a conversation about if all of these benefits and perks are worth it for your family. Because if they are, then they'll know the stateroom and the ship to get you on.
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just want to say thank you. I feel like we covered a lot, and there is always so much excitement about concierge. Now that we have the new lookout key at Lighthouse Point,
Yeah.
I'll get used to saying that. Disney's new private Bahamian beach experience. There's going to be new things to experience there, new cabanas. We have so many new itineraries coming out. So, if you're ready to elevate, whether it be a celebration or you just like to plus things up, we can talk through whether or not concierge is going to be worth it for you and how to maximize the perks that you get for being a concierge cruiser.
Yeah, so there's definitely no wrong way to Disney cruise, but if you really want a Disney cruise, concierge is that way. I bump it up a notch or 10. I love it. And like I said, I have not sailed concierge, but every time we talk about it, I'm like, what have I been doing this whole time? It sounds like heaven. So
it's one of those things. My first time cruising in concierge was almost accidental. I was able to book it last minute. That's another question. Is it worth it if it's last minute after everything's been off, out there? And I would say yes, because of all the onboard experiences, and because the concierge team will still try to help you get all of those beverage seminars and adult dining. Even if they look like they're sold out, oftentimes they can make some magic. I see a question about transferring cruises. Yes, if you have already booked and it was within the last 30 days and you are not paid in full, then you can transfer that to us so that we can represent you as your travel advisor and help you get all the ins and outs and the maximum benefit. If it's beyond the 30 days or if you're paid in full, please reach out anyway. I like to just get to know people and answer your questions, because hopefully you'll use us next time. So don't ever hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, I was going to say, and sometimes we've seen it before where the price hasn't changed and your cruise sailing. So sometimes it makes sense to move things around. Of course, it's different with concierge, but use Karen and her team as that resource. And we did have a question, and I want to make sure I asked about upgrading at port. I know the last live event that we did was all about those last minute cruises, and we're kind of talking about that now.
Right.
Can you upgrade to concierge once you're at the port?
You can, if it is available. So, what I would recommend is checking online about 3 days before, 2 days before. It might not be showing that close in, and see if there's any concierge there. And then when you get to the port, try to get there as early as possible and check in. And there is a desk that they will direct you to. You can ask if any upgrades are available. There's a desk usually at the very end of the kind of check-in counter. Sometimes you'll see a sign that says no stateroom upgrades available, but sometimes there are. And they have a grid, and the grid is basically like, if you are in this category and you're upgrading to this category, this is how much the charge is going to be. So sometimes it can be a nice savings, and you never know. There could be a last minute cancellation, or they didn't fill it all, and you can, have that surprise in port. I feel like it's getting more and more rare. It was more common right when they started sailing again after the pandemic, because the ships weren't sailing as full. Concierge is getting very, very popular still, especially on the Wish. So it's worth a check, but I wouldn't count on it.
Got it. Good to know. Well, I don't know about you guys, but this has been fantastic and eye-opening. We have somebody saying you convinced me, right back at you. Karen has convinced me too. So if you guys have any questions, if you want to start planning your Disney cruise vacation, your Disney cruise concierge experience, reach out to Karen and her team. Like we said at the beginning, their services are 100% free for you to use. So let them be that resource in your planning. Karen, thank you so much for your time.
It's always so fun. Thank you so much,
Yes.
everybody, for tuning in. Let me know if I can help.
Yes, and I was going to say, stay tuned, everybody, for that comparison between Disney and some other cruise lines concierge experiences coming up. But we will
That
see.
is coming up in a few weeks.
I know. So stay tuned for that. Get signed up on Karen's mailing list too, so you get that alert. But we will see everybody on board real soon. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.